So every year, thousands of developers apply to the company like Google, Amazon, Meta. They solve hundreds of lead code problems. They prepare for the months, but still they fail in the interview. Not because they are not smart, not because they did not work hard, because they have not prepared it in the right way. Most people think the big tech company asks random questions, but believe me, they are not at all asking the random questions. So after helping more than 1000 of working professionals to get into product-based company, what I have seen is that big tech company test same small patterns again and again with same developers. So once you see this pattern, master these patterns, then the interview is going to be very easy for you. So in this video, I'll break down how should you analyze these particular DSA or lead code patterns and how to prepare them so that you are ready for the big tech company interview. So in this video, we are going to focus on six important points. If you follow the 6 important points, then you will be able to master different DSA patterns and be ready for any kind of company interview. So point number 1, let's understand why most of the people fail in the interview. So let me tell you, most of the people, so they prepare actually same way. So they will just open the lead code or DSA problems. They will just start solving the random problems again and then jump into the next problem. So when you solve random problems, it looks like that you are progressing, but it is not actually building your that particular skill which will help you to crack the product-based company or tier 1 product-based company. So it is like you have a dictionary, you are just learning the words. You are never capable of speaking a sentence because you just mastered the words. But how to use these words into a sentence, that you are not familiar. So that's what is missing when you solve the random problem. So big tech company, they don't care how many problems you have solved. You solved 700, 800, 500, whatever problems they have solved, they don't care. So they are testing how you are approaching a problem, how fast you are able to identify the pattern to that particular problem, and how are you optimizing the problem in time pressure. Because in real interview, you have 45 minutes, right? So they just want to see how you are behaving in case of that particular 45 minutes, right? So that's why they will keep on asking the same patterns again and again for different folks. So from this point, the goal is very simple. Try to understand and master the pattern. Don't just solve the problem. Now we'll jump into the second point. So which is the hidden pattern? So after analyzing and taking hundreds of interview, right? So what I realized, in this particular video, we will be talking about the core 8 patterns, right? So which are very important from the interview point of view. You can analyze few more patterns, but I'm going to talk about 8 patterns that is definitely going to be asked in the interview. So once you master these 8 patterns, definitely you will see that your interview, whenever you will go for the interview, you will see that it looks familiar. You saw a familiar kind of questions or the patterns. So let's go through this pattern one by one. So let's start with the 2-pointer pattern first. So most of the time 2-pointer used in array or string problems. So what is the indicator? So indicator is that whenever you need a kind of pair of elements, right? So in some question, if you see you are asked pair of elements, or it is a sorted array, you want to start from the beginning and the end of this particular array. So sometimes 2 indexes are coming towards each other, or else they are going parallel to each other, right? So that kind of problems. So then 2-pointer is going to be helpful. Let's take some examples of the 2-pointer. So you can take a look on this kind of problem, right? So like allude palindrome, right? Or 3-sum problems, right? Or the contains most of the water, right? So this kind of problem. So you can take a look, which is the 2-pointer problem. Now let's jump into the second pattern, which is the sliding. This is also one of the important problem. So when exactly we need to use this particular pattern? When you need subarray or substring kind of problem, right? So whenever you see subarray or substring, or you need some sort of like window size, right? So that kind of thing, then you can think about the sliding. Here, remember that, right? So one is the fixed window size where the window is one big slowly, and that would be some other kind of pattern. So where the window will keep on increasing and shrinking also, right? So that could be also possible, right? Some of the examples are longest substring without repeating the characters, minimum window substring. So these are some of the basic problems, so where you can look into. So these are the sliding window pattern, right? Now let's come to the pattern number 3, which is the binary search pattern. In this particular pattern, so basically whenever you see that, okay, the array is in sorted form, right? Or else array is like mounted form, like it is in increasing and decreasing. That means it is a 2 sorted, right? So increasing 1 sorted, then decreasing also 1 more sorted. Or else it is like valley, right? So decreasing, then increasing, right? So that kind of scenario if you see, or in some problem if you see that they have asked you to solve it in log n time, right? Most likely then binary search pattern is going to be used to solve that particular problem. So what you will do, so you have a search space, you will just go to the middle and maybe discard one of the part, right? So that is the idea, right? So I will constantly, you will discarding one of the part, right? So depending on if the array is in sorted form, let's say you are searching a number which is present in the left hand side, you find the middle and just part the left hand side and keep on doing this. That's how you will also achieve the log n type complex. So for example, search in a rotated array, right? So this could be one example of the binary search example. Or else like
find or search an element in a mountain, right? Kind of thing. There could be more examples you can see here, right? So these are some of the examples where you can apply the binary search. So in linked list, there is one important pattern. So which is the next pattern, which is the fast and slow pointer pattern. In this particular pattern, so what do? We have 2 pointers, right? One is the slow pointer and one is the fast pointer. That means fast pointer is going very, very fast and slow pointer is going slowly, right? So there are different variants to this particular problem or this particular pattern. For example, fast pointer can go 2x speed of the slow pointer, right? Or fast pointer can go 3x speed, or fast pointer is gone n step ahead and they both are moving after that particular. There are different variants to this particular pattern, but this is a very important pattern in case of linked list.
So here are the list of problems, some of the list of problems like linked list cycle, detect a cycle in the linked list, find the middle of the linked list in one pass. So next pattern is the stack and queue. So you know the basic difference between the stack and queue. Stack follows the LIFO principle, queue follows the FIFO principle. In case of stack, so whenever you see that recursive behavior, right, so then stack could be helpful. So stack itself have multiple patterns, sub patterns I will say, right? For example, monotonic stack, right? So whenever you need some elements in increasing order or decreasing order, you need to maintain some order, right? So then you can go for this particular pattern, which is the monotonic stack pattern, right? In case of stack, there is also one more which is known as 2 stack pattern. Whenever you feel that you need to do some operation for which 2 stacks can be helpful, right? So in that case, you can go for the 2 stack pattern. Some of the problems of stack is like that valid parenthesis, find the next greater element. So next pattern, which is known as the heap or the priority queue, right? So this is an important pattern. Whenever you need, constantly you need largest or smallest element and you want to do some operation, right? So that kind of problem if you see, then you must think about the heap or the priority queue. And there are some other problems like if you want to find the kth largest element or kth smallest element, or you are trying to find out the 2 largest element and keep on bombarding to them, right? So in that case, heap is going to be the right choice for you. So here are some of the list of questions, right? So top k element, top k frequent elements. So next pattern comes as the graph traversal technique, right? So there are different traversals in there. So this particular pattern you can use in like DFS and BFS, right? So this can be applicable to trees and graphs, right? So in case you are in trees, then you must be heard about this like in order, pre-order, post-order, level order traversal, in order, pre-order, post-order. These are the categories of the DFS search or the traversal. Then the level order traversal, zigzag level order traversal. So these are known as the BFS traversal, right? So this BFS and BFS can be help us to solve n number of problems in trees and graphs. In case of graphs, so like find the number of island in a given matrix, right? So there are a lot of problems here you can see. Okay, so you can solve using these 2 patterns. Now coming to the last pattern, so which is the dynamic programming pattern, right? So this particular pattern will be mostly applicable for the optimization problem. For example, if anything you see any problem, if you are seeing the maximize something or minimize something, along with that you need to identify if I can reuse the solution again and again, right? So if I solve a smaller problem, then I can reuse the same solution again and again over the period of time. Then dynamic programming is the right pattern to use. So in this pattern, so you will break the problems into a smaller problem, solve a smaller problem, store that particular solution of the smaller problem, and you will keep on reusing that solution, right? So here are some of the examples, right? So like longest common subsequence, right? So coin changes, right? So there are a lot of other problems are there. So here are some of the examples. So what you need to do, you need to understand these particular patterns, whatever we discussed. You need to you need to take a couple of problems and understand how these patterns are actually being used and solve these problems, right? So once you master these patterns, whatever we discussed, the interview is going to look very easy for you. So I have an extensive list of 35 patterns, right? So if you want to download a link in this particular description, which contains all the patterns that is available in case of the lead code or the DSA. So now let's jump into the point number 3, right? So how these big companies differ from each other, right? So that's also, it is very important for you to understand before, whenever you are applying or going for the interview.
So here is something many guys they never explain to their students. So different company actually loves different particular pattern. For example, if I take about the Google, so Google loves graphs and the recursion and trees, right? So these are the things that Google loves to ask that question. So similarly, if we go for the Meta, so you will see that Meta loves asking the questions with respect to arrays, the dynamic programming, all these things, right? Amazon loves to ask trees and heaps. Similarly, Microsoft talks about or mostly asks them, they are about the binary search, then trees and some graphs as well. So if you are preparing for any specific interview, like for example, if I have a Google interview, then make sure that you not just need to understand what is the pattern you need to be focusing most. Although you need to master all the pattern, but you need to be identifying the pattern which you need to focus the most. So now we are coming to the point number 4, right? What is the right way or the wrong way of the preparation? So knowing the pattern is not going to help you. You must practice that particular pattern in the right way. So what most people do, so they will just try to solve a problem. If they're stuck for maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes, they will jump into the solution or they will open the YouTube, start looking into the solution. And after that, they will move to the next question. This seems like a productive work, but this is actually not going to help you in the long run, right? So let me tell you. So the right way is completely different. Our objective, what is our objective? Our objective is very simple, right? So objective is to train our brain to recognize the pattern very quickly, right? So that is our goal. So make sure that you understand the pattern. You are spending little bit more amount of time in this particular pattern, and you are training your brain that okay, why this pattern is used for that particular problem. That is the very important task you need to do. Not just like okay, I solved this problem, let me jump into the next problem. And if you are a working professional who is really serious about cracking the product-based company interview, go ahead and book a free one-to-one call with me, where we'll be creating a free personalized roadmap for you to crack the Mang interview.
Okay, so now we are coming to the step number 5 or the point number 5. How to identify any particular pattern in 60 seconds. So let me tell you the truth. In real coding interview, whenever you saw the question for the first time, your brain will freeze, right? So that first 1 or 2 minutes is very, very crucial. So here I'm going to give you the tips. So which you should use in order to identify the pattern, right? So which pattern to use? Step number 1. Check the input. For example, if it is an array or string, then most likely you will be using the 2-pointer or sliding window, that kind of pattern. So if it is a tree or graph, that kind of thing, then you most likely you will be using the DFS, BFS, right? Or union and find or topological sort, right? So that kind of patterns you will be using. If it is a linked list, then you most likely you might be using the 2-pointer pattern or some traversal of the linked list. Or if it is a sorted array, then you mostly likely using a binary search, right? So look into the input very carefully. That will give you the hints what kind of patterns I am going to use. Now the step number 2, right? So which is very important also, which is the analyzing the output. What exactly you are expecting out of that particular problem, right? So what exactly you are expecting? Whether problem is expecting the maximum number or minimum number from your question. So if that is the case, then you will be going for the dynamic programming or greedy approach. If your output is expecting something like booleans, or it is expecting you to solve any problem in log n time complexity, right? So if that such kind of problems are there, so then you can think of about the binary search. Or else, let's take another example. If your questions demands you need an output like all the permutations, all the combinations, right? If that kind of outputs you are expecting, then you will be going for the backtracking. Okay, so far we have talked about how to identify the patterns, inputs, outputs. Now we'll talk about the third step, which is the identify the keyword. For example, if your question have some keywords like subarray, right? Then you definitely is going to apply sliding window. Or there is some keywords like sorted form, then you will be applying the binary search. Or some keyword like detect a cycle, something like that, right? So then most likely you will be using 2 pointers, right? Or if they have asked you to find the top k frequent element or top k largest element, top k smallest element, that kind of thing, then you must be using a heap data structure or the pattern. Then the step 4, which is once you identify this pattern, so just try to communicate that same pattern to the interviewer, right? So meaning, once you have thought that okay, this heap you will be using, right? Let's say they are asking find the top k element, right? You just identified that okay, so heap is the right data structure. Try to communicate that to your interviewer saying that okay, since I can see this or I can sense this particular top k elements in this particular problem, so then I am thinking that I'll apply the heap, and this is how I will apply the heap. Okay, communicate that, right? Communicate that. Now we are coming to the step number 6, which is the final step. So which is the preparation roadmap, right? So we'll create a small preparation roadmap which will actually help you to stick to your plan and master this pattern and crack the product-based company. So first of all, you should create your preparation plan based on your requirement, right? For example, whether you have 2 weeks time or you have 1 month's time or you have 2 months time or 3 months time. Based on that, so you will create your plan. So let's say you have just 2 weeks, right? So you have only 2 weeks time, right? So then what you need to do, you just need to refresh all these patterns that we discussed in this particular video, all the patterns, right? Like sliding window, 2 pointers, BFS, DFS, right? So top k or the heap patterns, right? So then the cyclic pattern, right? So just focus on the 7-8 patterns that we just discussed and solve a couple of problems on that particular thing. If you have 2 weeks time, right? So that's what I'm talking about. But if you have 1 month time, right? So then you divide this 1 month into 4 weeks, right? Week 1, you will do something, week 2, week 3, week 4. Week 1, let's say you are talking about the array and string. So you will take that array and string, solve all the patterns related to the array and string that we talked. In next week, so you will go to the, let's say, binary search and the linked list. That is what you will solve, right? In the third week, you will go for the tree and graphs. And in the fourth weeks, you will go for the dynamic programming backtracking, right? So that's how you can divide and focus on one topic at a time and just master that corresponding pattern, right? So let's say you have 3 months time, right? So which is ideally, right? So ideal time, so where you should start the preparation, right? So you should start the preparation before the 3 months only. So here you can divide it into 3 to 4 stages, right? So first of all, you need to be very careful and start mastering the pattern one by one topic, right? So that should be your starting point. Also solve more number of medium problems as much as you can. And every month, make sure that you are giving 1 or 2 mock interview, right, with someone who is experienced, or in some websites where you can take the interview, right? Yeah, but make sure that you are giving 1 or 2 mock interview over every month. And in the last week, right? So whenever your interview will come, that make sure that you are reviewing. You are not taking any new problem or not studying any new concept. Whatever the concepts you have studied, so you will just review that, right? So these are the tips. So the bottom line is very important. So which is quality or the depth is very important than the quantity. So big tech companies, so they are not just asking random puzzles, right? So most of the time people say, what question they ask? Believe me, they are not asking any random questions. So this interview, I say it as a pattern recognition interview, right? So whenever you will go for an interview, if you can recognize the pattern by looking into that particular problem within 30 to 60 seconds, right? So then your interview is very easy or smooth. So you really don't need to solve 500, 600 problems like that. You can solve maybe 200 to 300 problems. But the main objective is that you must master these patterns and you should solve all the variants of that particular pattern. Because once you identify these patterns, so then everything becomes very easy. So if you want, I can show you the exact list of the problems so that I will solve on these particular patterns. So if you want to see, click here to watch the video. So if you are a software engineer who want to crack the product-based company interview, then just go ahead and book a free one-to-one call with me, where we will create a personalized roadmap for your Mang interview or Mang journey. And if you want to see, after solving 769 lead code problem, what happened, you can watch this particular video here.